Have you ever heard of a computer that, well, basically self-destructs every single time you log off? Sounds pretty chaotic, right? But what if I told you that this disposable desktop is actually one of the biggest game changers in IT? We're about to dive into the world of floating desktops, and you're going to see why destroying your computer every day is, believe it or not, a brilliant idea.
Okay, so put yourself in the shoes of an IT manager at a big company. You've got hundreds, maybe even thousands of computers to worry about. You've got to make sure every single one is updated, patched for security, and running the right software. It is a constant, never-ending battle. One machine gets a virus. Another one has a weird software glitch. It is a massive headache.
But what if the answer isn't about managing things better, but about, well, not really managing them at all? What if the computer just resets itself? A perfect clean slate every single time somebody logs in, no matter what crazy stuff happened in the last session. I know, it sounds totally backwards, but let's see how this radical idea actually works.
So this whole concept has a name, the floating desktop. And once you get it, it really changes how you think about computers in the workplace.
All right, let's break down what you're seeing here, because there are a couple of key terms. First, see that word stateless? That's the secret sauce. All it means is the desktop doesn't save any changes. It's kind of like an Etch-a-Sketch. Once you're done, the system just shakes it clean. And that golden image? That's the one perfect master template. Every single desktop is just an identical copy of this one pristine original.
The easiest way to wrap your head around this is with a really simple analogy. Let's forget about computers for a second and just think about a hotel. When you check in, you don't get a permanent room that you own and have to clean yourself, right? No way. You get a temporary one that's been perfectly cleaned and prepared just for you. And here's how that plays out step by step. Step 1, you log in. That's like checking into the hotel. Step 2, you're assigned a fresh, clean desktop from a pool of available ones. That's you getting your room key. You do your work. That's step 3. And then, finally, step 4, you log off. The system then completely wipes and resets that desktop, making it perfect for the next person. And this right here, this is the fundamental shift. On the left, you've got your traditional computers. Every single one is a unique, kind of messy individual with its own history of problems and software, and they all have to be managed one by one. But on the right, with floating desktops, you only manage one thing, that single perfect golden image. Everything else is just a temporary, flawless copy. So to sum it up, the defining traits are pretty simple. They're stateless, they're born from that one golden image, they're handed out from a shared pool, and this is the big one. They completely reset the second you log off. Okay, so that's the what, but why would any company want a desktop that's constantly erasing itself? Well, it turns out the benefits are an absolute game changer for IT departments everywhere. I mean, this slide really says it all. Just look at the impact on IT. Management effort plummets, security risk goes way down, and the overall costs, they drop too. Let's break down exactly why this is such a powerful shift. It all boils down to these 3 massive advantages. Management becomes incredibly simple, security gets a huge, huge boost, and the costs drop significantly. Okay, first up, management. Let's say you need to roll out a critical security patch to 500 employees. Normally, that's a nightmare. But here, you don't touch 500 computers. You just update that one golden image. And the next time each of those users logs in, boom, they automatically get a brand new desktop with that update already installed. It's a total revolution in efficiency. Now, the security benefit is just as awesome. Imagine a user accidentally clicks on a phishing link and some malware gets onto their machine. On a normal PC, that's a full-blown crisis. You gotta quarantine it, run scans. But here, it's just a temporary problem. As soon as that user logs off, the entire desktop is deleted, and the malware just gets wiped away with it. It's basically a self-healing system. And finally, cost. I mean, it's pretty simple. When your IT team spends way less time patching and fixing individual machines, you save a ton on labor. And because these are just temporary copies, you often need less storage, which cuts down on infrastructure costs. It really is a win-win for the company's bottom line. So, at this point, I know exactly what you're probably thinking. This all sounds great for the IT department, sure. But what about me? The actual person using the computer. If my desktop gets deleted every day, what happens to all my work? It's the most important question, isn't it? If the whole thing gets wiped clean every time I log off, does that mean my spreadsheets, my big presentation, all my customized settings, are they just gone forever? And the answer is a huge no.
Because the system does something really clever. It separates the temporary computer from your personal data. Think of it like this. The floating desktop on the left is just the clean, temporary workstation. But your user profile on the right, that's your personal briefcase. You just bring your briefcase with all your files and settings to whichever clean desk you happen to use that day. So here's the crucial part. Your personal data is never actually stored on that virtual desktop. It's stored safely and centrally somewhere else. And when you log in, special software just attaches your personal profile to whatever fresh desktop you get. And just like magic, all your files, your browser bookmarks, and your app settings appear, ready to go.
So with all that in mind, who is this technology actually for? Because it's definitely not a silver bullet for everybody, but for certain jobs, it is the absolute perfect solution. And these here are some perfect examples. Think about call center agents who all need the exact same software to do their job, with zero room for changes. Or students in a computer lab who need a perfectly clean slate for every single class. And of course, public kiosks, where security and a fresh start for each user are totally non-negotiable. For any job where the work is standardized, this is a perfect match. And this quote really just sums it up perfectly. If your job is task-based, a floating desktop is incredible. But this also highlights who it's not for. A software developer or a graphic designer who needs to install all sorts of custom tools and keep complex projects on their machine, they wouldn't be a good fit. It's all about matching the tool to the task. If you take away just one thing from all of this, let it be this number, 1. The incredible power of managing just one single image to control an entire fleet of hundreds or even thousands of user desktops. That simplicity, that's the revolution. And that really brings us to one last big question. As we all move towards more flexible, hybrid, and remote work, does the old idea of having one permanent computer for each employee even make sense anymore? Or maybe, just maybe, the future of the desktop is something a little more disposable, something that gives us a fresh, clean, and secure start every single day.